Spring break was supposed to be fun, just 5 of us escaping everything, and when we found that beach house online, cheap, isolated, almost too perfect, we didn't question it, even though the photos looked old and the place had no reviews. And when we arrived just before sunset, the sky felt wrong, like it was dimming too fast, the ocean louder than it should be, and the house standing there alone like it had been waiting for us. But we laughed it off, made jokes, carried our bags inside, and everything looked clean. Unnaturally clean, like no one had lived there in years, yet nothing had aged. No dust, no smell, except this faint scent of salt water that seemed to cling to the walls, especially near the stairs. And that first night we partied, loud music, drinks, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling crawling under our skin, until we all fell asleep in the living room. But I woke up suddenly at exactly 3:07 a.m. to the sound of something moving above us, slow, dragging footsteps that didn't sound like walking, but like something heavy being pulled across the floor. And when I looked around, everyone was still asleep, all 4 of them right there, breathing, unmoving, yet the footsteps continued, steady, deliberate, like whoever or whatever was upstairs knew we were listening. And I tried to convince myself it was just the house settling, but then it stopped directly above me, and I swear I heard something wet drip onto the ceiling, like water pooling and spreading. And I woke Mark and we went upstairs together, every step creaking too loud, our phones shaking in our hands. And when we reached the top, the air was colder, damp, and the smell of the ocean was stronger, suffocating. And we checked every room, every corner, but there was no one there, nothing, except the floor, completely wet, as if someone had just walked in from the sea, barefoot, leaving long, stretched footprints that started at the window and dragged across the hallway before suddenly stopping in the middle of the floor, like whoever made them had simply vanished. And we didn't tell the others everything, just said it was nothing, but none of us really slept after that. And the next day felt wrong, like the house was watching us, like it knew we were trying to ignore it. And Jake kept staring out toward the ocean for hours, silent, pale, until finally he whispered that he saw someone standing at the shoreline, just standing there in the distance, completely still, facing the house, watching us. And when we all rushed to look, there was nothing, just empty waves crashing against the sand. But Jake wouldn't stop shaking, swearing that the figure had been there, that it didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there like it had been waiting. And that night we tried to stay awake. No music, no talking, just sitting in silence pretending we weren't scared, until 3 a.m. came again. And this time we were all awake when we heard the knocking. 3 slow knocks at the front door, spaced too evenly to be human. And no one moved at first, but then it came again, louder, more demanding, echoing through the entire house. And Mark finally forced himself up and walked to the door while we watched, frozen. And when he opened it, there was nothing outside, just darkness and the sound of the ocean. But then he looked down and stepped back suddenly, and we all saw it. Wet footprints forming right there on the floor, appearing one by one, as if invisible feet were stepping inside, moving past him, past all of us, leaving trails of seawater across the wood. And none of us breathed as we watched those footprints continue into the house, slow, deliberate, heading toward the stairs. And then we heard it again, that dragging sound from upstairs, even though whatever had just come in hadn't physically gone up yet. Like there were 2 things in the house now, one above us and one moving among us. And the air turned ice cold, and I felt something brush past my shoulder, wet and heavy, and I swear I heard breathing right behind me, even though no one was there. And the footprints reached the stairs and began climbing, each step marked by water that dripped and spread unnaturally. And halfway up they stopped, but the sound didn't. The dragging continued deeper into the upper floor, faster now, almost excited, like it knew we were about to break. And that's when Jake screamed, pointing toward the open door where something now stood just beyond the threshold, a shape barely visible, darker than the darkness around it, tall, unnatural, its body distorted like it had been pulled apart and forced back together, water pouring from it endlessly, pooling at its feet yet never running out. And its head slowly tilted as if studying us, and even though we couldn't see its face clearly, I felt it looking directly at me, into me. And then, in a voice that didn't sound like it came from its mouth, but from everywhere at once, wet and hollow, it whispered something I still hear in my head. "You came back." And that's when everything snapped and we ran, not even thinking, just pure panic, pushing past each other, slipping on the wet floor. And as we ran, I heard footsteps chasing us from behind, fast now, no longer dragging but sprinting, splashing loudly. And the knocking started again, but now from inside the house, on the walls, the ceiling, the floor, like it was everywhere at once, trying to trap us. And just before I reached the door, I made the mistake of looking back, and I saw it clearly for the first time, standing halfway down the stairs, its limbs bent at impossible angles, its skin stretched and gray, completely soaked, pieces of seaweed clinging to it. And its head, if you could call it that, was swollen and broken, its eyes black voids leaking water, and its mouth hung open unnaturally wide as more seawater poured endlessly, yet it was smiling. And behind it, further up the stairs, I saw more shapes forming in the darkness, more wet silhouettes slowly stepping forward, as if the ocean itself was emptying into the house. And we got out, slammed the door, ran to the car, and drove without stopping. But even as we sped away, I saw in the rearview mirror that the front door was still open, and something was standing there watching us leave, unmoving, until it slowly raised its arm and pointed, not at the house, not at the road, but directly at us, like it wasn't letting us go. And we never went back, never spoke about it properly. But a week later, we searched the address and found out the truth. Years ago, a man lived there alone and drowned in the ocean during a storm, but his body was never found. And ever since then, people reported seeing him walking out of the water at night, heading back toward the house, soaking wet, leaving footprints that never dried, and sometimes knocking on the door even when no one was inside. But the worst part, the part that still keeps me awake, is that according to the reports, the sightings stopped the same week we stayed there, completely stopped, like whatever was tied to that house isn't there anymore. And sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I hear it again, faint at first, then clearer, the sound of wet footsteps moving slowly, somewhere inside my home.